Welcome back to another episode of the Tunes and Tales podcast. I'm your host, Jay. If you've been watching for more than one episode, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for, following the podcast. I appreciate y'all. Y'all in my heart. If you're new to the podcast, here by accident, somebody recommended it, or you're just checking it out, you see the artwork, or you just, you clicked on it. Welcome to the Tunes and Tales podcast. This is a podcast where we have amazing people share amazing stories that amazing songs reminds them about. Yeah, welcome. So I'll make this a quick intro. Let's just get into the notes. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us at Tunes and Tales Pod on Instagram and TikTok. You will see it right below. If you want to follow us on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, you can follow us at Tunes and Tales Pod on Twitter. Facebook, it's just Tunes and Tales Podcasts. If you're watching and you want to listen on the go, we're on all podcast platforms, so you'll see them right below. We have, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, all the podcast platforms. What else we got? YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Support the podcast. Every subscription helps, every notification helps in just building the podcast community. So I would appreciate that. And yeah, if you just, you hear the podcast and you want to share a song and story, you can either message us on social media that I mentioned earlier, or you can email us at tunesandtalespod@gmail.com. Again, if you're watching, right below. So today's podcast, we have Tynisha. She is a aspiring writer and director. She's chasing it. She's in the thick of it. And in this episode, we share our edible stories. I think this one's funny. But more importantly, she talks about just pursuing her dreams of being a writer and director and, taking a leap, moving out west to pursue that dream. So we're going to get into it. I think this is a fun episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Tynisha. Perfect. How are you?
Not bad. Just came from the gym probably like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you doing this then, because I saw your schedule. That shit is crazy.
Nah, it's cool. I keep myself busy, so.
I respect it. All right. So you ready to get into it?
So I'm starting off with the memory, right?
Yeah. So what's the memory you want to share for your episode?
Okay. My memory is when I first took an edible.
Yeah. Fun. All right. So, all right. I guess I won't ask questions. Just tell me what happened. Just tell the story, I guess.
All right. So it was on a weekend, and usually on the weekend, this was a while ago, but on the weekends, I usually go over to my mom's house and I make breakfast and everything. So, before then, my boyfriend goes, "Oh, I had got this edible from my friend, and it was like a Rice Krispie breakfast type edible, like one of those breakfast cereal ones." And I was like, "Oh, let me just get a piece of it." So I took I swear it was this small. I took a small piece of it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "It takes about an hour or so to kick in." And I was like, "All right, cool. So that means I can drive to my mom's house and no problem." So I'm driving.
Oh, no.
I'm driving, and then I get to the stoplight. It was like 15 minutes in, and I'm like, and I was like, "Is the car moving?" He's like, "No." I swear it was moving. I swear I was not that high yet. And then as I'm driving, I'm almost to my mom's house, and I feel like I'm driving so slow. But I look at my speed, like my speedometer, and it says like 35 miles per hour, and I'm like, it's not that slow.
Right.
So I'm still driving, and I pull up at my mom's house and walk up the stairs. I go upstairs, and she's like, "Oh, what are you making?" I was like, "Pancakes, sausage, eggs and stuff." Still trying to play it off because she doesn't even know I took an edible at that point.
Munchies are mean.
As I start cooking, I'm like, why am I moving so slow? My sister comes downstairs. She's like, why are you speeding around the kitchen? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm moving slow. I swear, I felt like I was in slow motion the whole
The
entire
whole
time.
time. I completely
She
get
was
it.
like, slow down. I was like, no, I'm not moving
Like, I'm not
fast.
going fast enough, right? Oh
And
my
I
god, that's
found out
hilarious.
that was like a homemade um edible, and it was like so many milligrams in it, and I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, no, I'm never doing homemade edibles
Yeah.
again unless I know how much is in there.
That's so funny. You know, it's like you're telling a story. I have to like control myself to stop myself from interrupting you because I'm not making this up. My first time was kind of just like yours when I had edibles.
Yeah,
And so I went out with a few friends and we're hanging out at like some baseball field wherever. And we got like 5 cookies from like my friend's dealer or whatever.
yeah.
And when we picked it up, he's like, "Yo, these are extra strong. Only eat like a quarter, or if you're really gonna have fun tonight, only eat half, right?" So cool. I eat half, before we left, and we get to the baseball field, and we're just chilling, and nothing. Like I'm like, oh, this shit's, the classic. Oh, this shit is weak.
Yep.
Like you do that bullshit. So I eat another half. So now I'm down to 1 cookie, and we're chilling there. Still, I don't feel anything. So we're like, all right, let's go. By the time we're leaving the field, it's like almost 1 in the morning because we're just chilling. I eat another half, right? Because I'm driving. That's the next thing. That's why I was like, when you said it, I'm like, it's the same shit. So I'm driving. I drop one friend off. He gives me his half of the cookie because he's like, I'm not gonna eat it. So while I drop him off, I eat another half. So I'm 2 cookies in now, right? I'm 2 whole ass cookies in, and I dropped the last friend off, and now I'm driving home by myself, and I'm at an intersection, stoplight, and that shit kick in, man. When I tell you, it's like 1:30, 1:45, almost 2 in the morning, and I'm at that. Thank God I was the only one on the road. When I tell you, I sat at that green light and I was so paranoid. I saw the light was green, but I'm like, nah, I'm too fucked up. That shit's red. That shit's 100% red. So I'm convincing myself that the light's not green, and I sat at that light at what felt for like hours, but it's probably like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? But so I get it. Then I went home, ate a bunch of food, slept, the whole spiel. But yeah, so I get it. So all
That hit
right,
you.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But all right, so that's your story. First time with edibles. Do you have any edibles experience after? Like that? Did that kind of introduce you to like regularly partaking in edibles?
That was like, I feel like that was kind of a bad experience.
Uh huh.
After that, I went like to the dispensary to actually get my edible. So I was like, let me get a 5 milligram one or
Oh, so you
whatever.
went professional.
Exactly. And then I
Right.
was like, okay, these 5 milligrams are okay, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't what I was looking for. So I bumped up to 10 milligrams, and I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sticking to these 10 milligrams because
Mm-hmm.
10
You got a
milligrams
routine.
get me at that level. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be too high, and then I don't want to be sitting there and I'm just like, you
Right.
know,
Can't function. Right. No, I get it. So
exactly.
like, do you I was about to say. So do you like? It's like a regular. So when you take edibles, for you, is it something like, okay, I'm gonna take this, and then by the time I wake up, I'll be fine? Like, do you know your limits?
Yeah. So like
Okay. So,
I have trouble sleeping, so sometimes I take it at nighttime
mm-hmm,
so that I'm able to sleep.
mm-hmm,
And then during the day, sometimes if I feel like either I suffer from migraines, so it's like if I
mm,
feel like my migraine is really bad, or there's just moments where it's just like I'll go out with my sister
mm-hmm.
when I was living in Boston, and then we'll be like, we're going out, we'll get let's get an edible, and it's just a very eventful night.
Right, right. It makes the night fun.
So
I completely. The reason why I asked that is because I'm the opposite. I can't. I don't know if so. Usually when I get mine, at least now when I get mine, I have a cousin that makes them, and
mhm.
he's like a fucking mad scientist with the shit. So you really got to be careful.
Yeah,
So like now when I have edibles, it's like I try because I work a lot. I work like 90+ hours a week, and when I do take edibles, it got to be like a fucking event or like I have two
yeah,
days off. Because when I take it, I don't know when the shit's gonna like let me go back to normal. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned migraines a while ago. I kind of want to get into that. Was it something that you were born with, or just developed, or something you
No,
still deal with today?
um, I don't. I think it was just something that I developed, honestly. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have it as bad as I used to, but I used to have it like every day. I used to get auras, so like my head will be very like not blurry but fuzzy. I'd feel
Mm.
very fuzzy in my head. So that's how I knew I was gonna get a migraine, and
It's
it'll
kind of
just
like your
come on.
morning.
Yeah, I went to go see a neurologist and they was like prescribing me with medications, and I swear I went through like three different medications, and at that point I was like, no, I'm not your test subject because these are not
Mm.
working. So
Mm. Okay. And how often did you say that happened?
um it used to happen probably about three times a week, but now it's
Wow.
probably like only once a month or so.
3 times a week. So how
Yeah,
was dealing with that?
a lot, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
Yeah.
lot because light, light was one of my biggest triggers too. So it's like if my head is hurting, I want no light. I just want to be in the dark. Um, and having to work, of course, what are you going to work in the dark, especially when you have to go
Right.
into an office. So
Right.
I'd go into the office and I'll just work. Honestly, it was to the point where I just sucked it up. So
Really?
yeah.
Yeah. See, I'll be a whole bitch. Nope. Can't function. Can't function. Cannot function. All right. So we can switch gears a little bit. You mentioned that you used to live in Boston. I mean, I know where you live now, but what happened? Where did you leave Boston?
I'm in California now because I wanted
Okay.
to pursue filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my biggest thing. Aspired screenwriter, director.
That's
So I'm
dope.
on that journey right now. And I also love
Okay.
to bake. So I take baking classes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to keep myself busy during this time, especially with the whole strike going on.
Yeah.
But I am also writing a TV pilot because I want to, once the strike is over, I want to just go full force and running with it. So,
Okay. All right. Cool. So yeah, that was kind of one of the reasons why I thought you were a good fit for the podcast because I kind of want to like you know shine like expose you to people and kind of like just get into that world because I feel like a lot of people we see the actors and actresses and justifiably they're on the TV like there's them
right.
on everybody's shows but nobody really knows like we know the director we know the writers but we don't really know behind the scenes what that process is like so what's it like well, first of all let's get into what's it like writing because is it just when you write something is it like something you just type out like is there a certain format you follow like how does that work.
Um, I could say because I've been writing for like since I was like a teenager, but never like film or for film or anything.
Mm,
I used to write, well, not used to, I still write like for books, so novels, which is completely different than writing a screenplay.
right.
So I struggled a little bit when I started, only because when I took my screenwriting classes, and that's one of the suggestions. Like some people, they just like to look up things, but I like feedback on my work. So taking a screenwriting class was good for me because
Mm,
then my professor gave me that feedback on like my writing and things that I can work on.
mm,
So when it comes to writing, there are formats that people say, like follow or different things like that. I try to follow when it comes to the three-act structure or different layouts when it comes to it. Because if you give your script to someone in Hollywood, a producer or something, they're gonna look for certain things in your script. Like the layout is the biggest thing. If they
mm,
see that you don't have that, they're gonna toss your script in the trash. So like script format is something that I think if you want to be a screenwriter, something that you should really like look into.
mm,
Um, but for me, I have to do outlines because I tried writing a script without an outline and I felt like I got totally lost. And I was editing like the same page probably about five different times because it wasn't there. The story wasn't there. So
Gotcha.
I have to outline literally my story and then I have to outline like my characters. So it's a lot that goes into it.
Okay, so yeah, so it sounds like based on what you just said, it sounds like you kind of have to have everything planned out before you create. Because I was going to lead into your creative process. So when you write stories or when you're writing a script, or is it something where like you're inspired by something, or is it like an idea you build upon? Like, how does it work for you?
I usually get inspired. I like to watch a lot of TV shows. Um, so and music too sometimes helps me. I can't
Hmm.
lie, but my biggest thing is I'm always inspired. So it could be like no lie, all my moments when I was like high and stuff, or
Hmm.
me seeing other people, I have little skits that I'm gonna put together that I'm gonna make a story out of
Ah,
that.
that's dope.
You know,
That's
like
dope.
so I'm usually inspired by either something somebody says, something that I see, like someone doing something. But my biggest thing is like sci-fi. So
Hmm.
it's like I'm a big Marvel DC fan, but even though I'm
Okay.
a big Marvel DC fan, I don't want my stories to be like that as far as like powers, you know? So when
Hmm.
I write based on like things that I like, and I try to incorporate different personalities. So like if I have someone close to me and I'm like, your personality, like you're a bitch, but you're a really good person, I try to
Right. Right. You kind
sorry.
of relate
I
to
try
that.
to
Yeah.
exactly. So I try to
Yeah.
incorporate it in my stories. I try to incorporate my personalities in my stories, especially for like my main characters.
Hmm.
Um, or like sometimes it's a lot, but I like to sit and really think like, what if this situation happened to me? Like, what if I lost, you know, like, well, what if I saw like this is really dark. It may be kind of dark, but like what if I saw like my sister get killed in front of me? How would I feel? So I like to
Mm.
sit and like dive into my emotions so that I can write it on paper.
That's interesting because I feel like isn't that, and I have no idea this world, so forgive me if I sound ignorant, but like, isn't that kind of how actors get into their roles as well? Like they kind of put themselves in
Yeah.
through those emotions and relate. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so I kind of want to. What's the? I guess what's the genre you would say you least lean towards, or you don't like, for lack of a better term, like to write about
Mm,
or create stories about?
it used to be documentaries, but for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, some documentaries have been intriguing to me. Um, but mm, I don't know. Maybe it is documentaries, honestly, because like
Is
I
this
try to
boring or?
I try not to get into it. Like, don't get me wrong, documentaries are really good, you know,
Mhm.
because they tell real stories about people, different things like that. But sometimes I feel like I live in this world and it's so real to me all the time. And it's so much like negative and all that stuff that's going on that I really don't want to write about things like that. I want to make up my own world, you know,
Mm.
fictional stories and things like that. Just jump into a different world where I can control, you know, because it's like people say in this world you can control it, but you can't control everything in this world, you know? So it's
Gotcha.
like I like to create stories where I can just control it myself. And that's where a lot of them are fiction. So,
Okay, yeah. So it's for you, it's like a form of escape.
right.
Sounds like okay, cool. And then so when you create your stories, because I'm really the reason I'm kind of interested in is because I had a slight little moment in my life where I thought I could write. You know what I
You
mean?
can.
I can, but I quickly realized the discipline. Well, to be a to pursue a career in it and be a quote unquote good writer, you need a certain level of discipline
Mhm.
and stick to your work. So I had this dream about a movie, and the dream was so vivid to me. It's like I'm like, oh, this is a perfect screenplay. Like you know what I mean? So I try to write, and then I just realized it's like I'm not committed to this. So I say all that to say is like, how do you stay when you're writing a movie, a script, a play, whatever you're writing? How do you stay committed to that schedule, to getting it done, or and how long does it take? Like, what's your process?
Mm, I don't like for me sometimes I like to if I have the urge to write, I literally just pull out my laptop or I go sit at my computer and I write.
Mm-hmm.
Um a lot of the times it's mainly like if I drop my son off in the morning, I try to make it a routine to write for like an hour or two, whether I'm outlining or whatever I'm doing. I try to make it a routine in the morning to sit down and write during it or at nighttime, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest routine is just when he's not in sight or whatever, or try to preoccupy my brain or my time,
Mm-hmm.
um, I go write. So that's
Oh,
usually
okay.
my first go to.
Okay.
Anything else, it's like second to me. And because I like writing, there's moments where I'm like, I can be out and I'm like, oh, I should put this in my story, and I just take out my phone and I just
Mm-hmm.
start writing it down. So I use my notepad a lot. I use my voice memo sometimes. So if I
Mm-hmm.
have an idea, I'll just talk it into my voice memo and then I'll just write it down later. So
Nice. And then the other side of it, directing, how involved are you in with that process?
um as far as like, so I have a I'm gonna say a upcoming production company. Hopefully, we can
Mm-hmm.
build it to bigger. It's called Silent Vision Entertainment. So
Mm-hmm.
we just create our own shorts. Everybody, there's 4 members, so everybody creates their own story, and then we allow, basically they direct it. Um, so I'm usually like co-director to everyone. So like I've directed, and then everyone else who has directed on the team, I was co-director to them, just so I can guide them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I basically just go off what I've seen working on set, like how the directors work and different things like that. So that's my biggest thing. Like when it comes to directing, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
It doesn't
easy.
look easy.
Um, that's the biggest thing. And especially like on our team, I'm usually camera operator and director.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to operate the camera and also direct the actors at the same time, which is super hard because sometimes I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I got to make sure the shot looks good. So I can't focus too much on like how they're acting and different things like that. So it's a lot trying to go back and forth between that. But
Mm-hmm.
as a director, I can say my involvement, I try to be involved in like every single story that I put out. Um, and I have like little short stories that I'm trying to put out, just even if they're like a minute, and direct it myself. I try to practice because I feel like when it comes to directing, I don't think it's like a one of those natural skills. I don't care what nobody say. I think it comes with practice. Um,
Right.
so for me, I feel like I really want to be a good director. So I try to practice with just like, oh, you guys have this story, let me direct it. I would love
Mm-hmm.
to do a music video one day, but I don't know nothing about all that. So
For who? Just in a fantasy world, who would you want to direct a video for?
and honestly, I feel like anyone, just for a temp because, but my favorite like artist is Kid
Uh
Cudi, of
huh.
course. Like I love
Right.
Kid Cudi. It just
Uh huh.
his mind. I want to dig his brain, like
Yeah.
creativity.
Uh
So
huh.
if he would allow me to, I'd direct a video for him. But
Hey,
his
put
his
it out there.
concepts are
Speak it into an
crazy.
existence.
Now I'm
Yeah.
gonna work with him one day. I am. I'm
There
still
you
gonna
go.
work with him,
There
even
you
if it's
go.
not a
A hundred
music.
percent.
We're gonna create a film together.
100% believe that. All right, so I kind of want to go back a little bit to when you said you moved to LA. So initially, when you moved to LA, was it I'm just gonna go and figure it out, or was everything like planned already set in motion?
When I moved to LA, I told myself that I'm gonna go to school, so like film
Mm-hmm.
school or something. And I ended up going to a community college for filmmaking. So I ended up just getting associates in that. But the school that I went to, they had an internship to work on SWAT. So I was like, oh, perfect. So I just applied to it because as I came out here, I did another internship with like script coverage. So I learned about like reading the scripts, breaking it down, what to look for in the scripts. And then after that, I applied to the SWAT internship and then I got it. So I just started working on SWAT for fifth and sixth season.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started, they was like, oh, we want to keep you. So that was perfect. It kind of like worked out in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly didn't have a plan. My plan was just to work in security because I had experience in security just to make money
Right.
to live.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And just basically try to pursue film. So it kind of just worked out that way.
Okay. So yeah, interested. How was it working on SWAT? I used to watch that show like a shit ton in college. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It was
How was
good.
it?
Like, honestly, people always say there's like nightmare stories like working on sets, but
Uh huh.
that one was really good. It's like a family. Like they're really a family when it came to working with them, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have bad experiences. I could say I probably had one, but I'm not going to share it
Understood.
right
Understood.
now.
Yeah, understood.
But as far as like the actors and stuff, they are awesome. Like,
Mhm.
you think that these people, I've met some really good people, like the actors on there.
Mhm.
I mean, of course, Shamar is the biggest one. So, but he's like, he is one of the nicest and genuine people that you can meet. And people may
Mhm.
not think that, or that I'm saying that, but like, he really, really is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, I met other people on there because at first, when you're a PA, they always tell you really, like, when it comes to the actors, of course you can interact with them, but I'm not going to go up to them and talk to them. But if
Right.
they talk to me, of course I'll talk to them. So
Mhm.
I've met like some really good people, some actors. One of them I still keep in contact with. Um, I don't know if he'll mind me mentioning his name, but his name is Barry.
Mhm.
Um, he was on the Tyler Perry show.
Mhm.
What is the Tyler Perry show? My
So you
brain is
should
not
tell.
clicking right now because I'm
Yeah,
not
one
drinking
of
my
them.
coffee. um, but it was like all about, I don't know if it was the brothers or something, but it was like they're all like really cool with each other. It's still
Mhm.
on.
Mhm.
But he has a lot going on, so I try to keep in contact with him every now and then because, of course, wanting to be in the industry, you have to have your connections and you have to,
Right.
especially people that you want to work with. Um, so I try to keep in contact with some of the people that I met. I've met Michael Beach. He is cool. He's OG.
OG.
Like, I've met I don't know if you've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, but the
I've seen
guy
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
uh there was Falcon and Winter Soldier, the guy Carl Lumley.
Uh huh.
He's like the older, he's supposed to be like the first Avenger. I've met him. He is so sweet. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So it's like some good people that you meet.
And then as far as like just picking up skills and lessons, like is there like a moment or anything that stood out working on set where you're like you kind of like kept with you to learn as like a learning experience?
Um, Ask questions. Like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
working on SWAT, a lot of the production workers, like, they wanted to answer my questions. Like, I'll
Mm-hmm.
go to the electricians and I'll ask them questions about lighting. I'll go to the grips and I'll ask them questions about, like, how to do certain things, and they'll answer the questions for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a AD that I had worked with when I first started, and he'll bring me closer to the set. He'll answer any question that I had that was regarding it. So I felt like, just ask questions, and that's what I'm learning. Like, if I have a question, I'm gonna ask it. Whether people say that's a stupid question, like, it wasn't stupid to me at that point. So
Right. If you don't know, you
um
don't know.
exactly. So I've
Right.
just learned more to like ask questions, especially in this industry, because there was a lot that I didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up learning just because it was like I asked a question.
There you go. That's a life motto. It's like there's a saying. I learned it from one of my old bosses. Is like squeaky wheel gets the most attention. If
Yeah.
you don't ask, nobody's gonna know you don't know. That's just how it works. All
Hmm.
right. So obviously there's a strike going on right now. How does
Yeah.
that affect you?
No work.
No work. Right.
So I haven't been able to work since like April,
Wow.
and it's rough. It really is
Mm-hmm.
rough. Um, but there's a cause, there's a purpose for everything, and I feel like at the end of the strike, it's gonna benefit everyone and myself as well, especially wanting to become a writer.
Right.
Like, I wanted to try to get into that writer's room and
Mm-hmm.
all of that before this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe it may be a little bit harder after the strike. It may not be, but we'll see when that time comes. But yeah, I just don't have work, and it sucks.
So, what? Just to kind of like break down what's going on in the strike. What are the what's the guild kind of pushing for? If you can talk about
Um, I mean, there's the writers and then there's the actors.
it.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the good things is that the production workers now have a union, which is good. um, because it sucks being a production worker.
Oh,
I mean,
trust me,
production assistant. I'm gonna tell you.
I can only imagine.
um, But like there's a lot of things that I've read about, when it came to that. And one is like AI. They're trying to have AIs take over for like everything, but I don't know how you'll have AI write a story, when
Mm,
it comes to that, because there's so much like emotion and stuff in stories. So how are you supposed to have AIs write your stories for you? Um, and as far as the actors, like I've been seeing a lot of people use AIs for like telling stories and having like AIs tell the story, especially like on TikTok and stuff. And it's so
mm.
fake, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
So um that's like one of the biggest things is technology is developing and growing and different things like that. I also seen something else lately that, oh my god, don't be moving. um I also seen something else lately that had to do with like, it was like something that had to do with Disney. Basically
Mm,
what they were doing was they were switching a the name to like the same story. So recently I read an article about like Daredevil. I
mm-hmm.
don't know if you know that show, but like the Daredevil show. And then
Yeah.
they added Born Again to the end. So the people who wrote that story and
Uh,
directed or whatever and got the percent, you get that percentage from it, they're not going to get it because they switched the name. So, and that's
really?
what Disney is doing. So I was like, oh, and the unions are also fighting for that as well. So
Gotcha.
it's interesting to read these different stories of what's going on, because at first I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But me coming across the stories and understanding like, okay, you guys are fighting for a purpose. And me putting hard work into a story and then you switch it and then you're like, yeah, you get nothing for
Mm.
us rebooting this story. That sucks. That's
Yeah,
a
because
lot of
it's
work you
it's
put into it.
right because it's already done. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, I didn't know there was that many levels to it. So what's I mean, your personal opinion, how long do you think the strike will last?
I don't know. Honestly,
No idea.
I'm frustrated because
Yeah.
it's been, what is it, April, May, June, July, August, September,
Yeah, it's been a minute.
October. Like it's about to be almost what, like 6 months or something,
That's crazy.
and that's crazy. I feel like the higher ups, you could take a little pay cut. Come on. Like,
Right.
seriously.
Right.
And it's like, if without a writer and an actor, you have no story. So who's going to act out your story for you? Who's going to write that story for the actors to act? So I feel like in the directors, you can't direct without a story. What are you directing?
Mm,
So it falls all in there together. So without those two people, it's pointless. So
right.
I don't know how long it will last, but I hope, I'm not even gonna say I feel, I hope that it's not too long, because it's tiring not being able to work.
Right. Now, on the other end, is there any fear of, people just, I don't know how that works, but is there any fear of people just saying fuck it and doing essentially freelance work? Because recently I saw a story with, what's her name? Talk show lady? Fucking Drew Barrymore. Is that her name? I think she's
True,
doing her show again. Like,
probably.
and people are a little bit upset at her. But so is there a fear of, people just saying like I can't take this anymore and just try to do their own thing instead of
Mm,
like a united movement.
I mean, I feel like people are doing their own thing anyways, like shorts and different things like that, because it's going to be a non-union project, as long as
Mm,
it's people are still doing films, short films and different things like that, because as long as it's not a union project, then you're okay, you know? Um, but people are still working, because it's like when you have a craft, you can't stop it just because the world is stopping at that moment, So you have to keep going. So I feel like actors are gonna act. They're gonna eat, whether it's just them doing their own little stuff, whether
mm,
it's them producing um their own films or whatever it is, but they're still gonna do what they need to do.
right. What they love to do.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. All right. So I just got one last thing and then we can move to the next part. What's the ultimate goal for you? You move to LA, you have a dream of being a director, writer. You know, I want it to happen for you fast. So next year, 2 years from now, what's the vision?
My goal, because I'm doing so much right now, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
my goal is just at least to either get in the writer's room or present my script to a producer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a couple people that's kind of like on my list that I want to present my script to that have produced. So I'm trying to finish my script and then get it to them.
Hmm.
Um, Even if they say this script sucks, I don't care. Give me some
It's
feedback. Where did it
feedback,
suck
right?
at? You know, um,
Right.
I love criticism, like constructive criticism. I don't take it to the heart like that. Even if my story I take to the heart, like, because I'm growing and I want
Right.
people to give me that feedback. So my goal is basically to at least get the screenplay out there, um, to grow the company, my company, Silent Vision Entertainment, a little bit, you know, um, direct, write another short for next year. I try to do one a year. Um, and also because I'm baking, I want to become better when it comes to baking. So
Now, do you want to pursue baking in a from a business standpoint, or is it just I enjoy baking?
I'm gonna have a bakery one day. So
Mm,
I'm gonna be that writer, director, and then when I have a little off time, I'm gonna be baking. So
fire, fire ass cupcakes.
right.
All right, cool. So, you ready to get into your song?
Yes.
All right, cool. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
My name is Tanisha, and my song is Satellite Flight by Kid Cudi.
Satellite Flight, Kid Cudi, perfect. All right,
Yes.
so I pretty much ask this question every episode. I know people are sick and tired of hearing it. Why that song?
Um, for me, that was a song that was playing in the car when I was
Nice and simple.
driving. So yeah, that is the song that was playing, and for me, I think it added to the atmosphere because if you ever
Mm,
listen to that
it's kind
song,
of perfect, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
and it's a little slow, but yeah, that's why I can relate to it. Like I'm always going to remember that.
So it's a do any other Kid Cudi songs like? I mean, his whole catalog is kind of like that type of feel to it. So,
Hmm.
is there any other songs that you enjoy in that sense?
As far as what goes,
Like for being high on edibles,
mm, I mean,
like.
honestly, when I'm high, I'm giggly. Like I
Mhm.
am giggly for one. I talk a lot for two. And I just like to be funny, like fun and have fun. So I like listening to a lot of soca music because soca music it
Really?
allows me to dance. So
Okay, fair, fair. Yeah, when I'm on edibles, I don't talk a lot, but when I say everything is funny to me, like I can see a bird fly and I start cracking up. Like it's just the funniest shit. But I get it. All right, so Satellite Flight for Kid Cudi, and it was playing in the car. All right,
yes.
cool. That's pretty much it. So I get it. Nice and simple. So before we move on towards the end of the podcast, there is a game I like to play. It's called On the Spot. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah. So pretty much how it works is you have three different scenarios, and you have to. I'll give you some time because it's kind of like hard. Three different scenarios, and then you have to name a song for each scenario. Cool.
Oof. All right.
And the only the only rule is you cannot use the song your podcast is about.
Okay.
So satellite flights off the table.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes.
All right. First one is you're on a journey to the center of the earth. Nice and simple.
Ah, what song am I listening to?
I love these pauses. I know you're really thinking.
Yes. Because I'm telling you, like um my brain goes always to something crazy, so I'm thinking of a
uh,
SpongeBob song.
really? What's SpongeBob song? Is it Sweet Victory? That Super Bowl one? Everybody loves that shit.
No, I'm not gonna go with that one.
uh,
um there was one song that he was singing when he was on the journey to go get the
the
crown.
pizza.
No,
Oh
to go
no,
get
no,
the
no, no.
crown. It was in the
Uh-huh.
movie.
I
Um,
don't know that one, no.
I can't remember the name. I guess that don't count.
No, no. I'll find it. I'll find it and put it in. Though I'll probably message you about it. But it's the one when he's on a journey to get the crown
Yes, it's in the movie.
in the movie. Okay, got you. All right. Next question is: you're back in Boston. Late night drive through the city.
Ooh, late night drive through the city. um, Back in Boston, late night drive through the city. I'm gonna just go with one of my soca songs, "In the Mood to Wine."
In the mood to wine. By who?
It's by, I think it's Leanne.
Leanne.
Is the name. I'll send it to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then last one. Ready?
Hmm.
You are about to direct a movie based on a song. What's that song? It's a
Oh,
tough one.
"Does It" by Kid Cudi. I think
Does
he
it by
already did
Kid
it,
Cudi?
but yeah.
Okay, that was quick. I thought it was gonna be hard, but that was quick.
No.
All right, so that was the on the spot. I want to get into one last thing before we wrap this up. So what projects? I know everything's on hold right now because of the whole strike, but like, what projects? I know you say you're doing shorts. Is there any other things you're working on, or anything you're writing that you want to mention, or you want to keep to yourself? Whatever you want.
um, I'm writing a pilot right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't. The title is not 100%. I have it listed as Jade, but I feel like I'm going to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said, I'm a sci-fi person. So I like to dive into, like, a lot of my stories are based off like either crystal names, has to do with like energies, like, like positive, negative energy, different things like that. Like that's what I like to base
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my stories off of. So the story that I'm writing now has to do with like basically a girl, she ends up, you could say she's an alien because she's not from Earth. And she ends up running away from her planet and coming to Earth, and um, she loses her memory when she comes to Earth due to certain circumstances. And
Mm-hmm.
it goes about with her like basically finding her journey because there's something that happens that kind of like rekindles that, like, a memory that she had lost. So she's basically on a journey to like find out like where does memory come from, who is in my memory, and different things like that. So that's one of the stories that I'm working on. I'm also working on a novel called
Okay,
Need and
nice.
Desire. That's a little bit more on the erotic side, so we're not gonna talk about that.
Keep it PG.
Right? um, but yeah, those are my two main stories that I'm writing right now. So
All right, dope, awesome. And I got to do this. I'm gonna tell you. Remember? So remember earlier I told you I jumped the story and I thought I could write it.
yeah,
I'm gonna share the story and you can steal it because I'm not gonna pursue it. um. So the dream was there's this guy and pretty much he has a daughter. The daughter is named Cairo, right? And pretty much throughout the movie he would kind of like allude to he has a meeting to go to, like he's
hmm,
always dressed up nice, he's going to a meeting, but only the daughter, she's probably like, say she's 8 9, only she knows what the meeting is. And pretty much long story short, the mom and the dad, so the daughter's mom, the dad, the mom, they're separated, but he has a really close relationship with the new boyfriend.
right.
Long story short, conflict happens. He finds out the daughter is not his, and then pretty much the point of the movie is coming to the decision to keep being her father. And then at
Ah,
the
so
end of the
you writing dramas now, huh?
I'm telling you, man, I'm nice. And then towards pretty much the end of the movie is that him and the girl at the airport going to Cairo, Egypt, hence her name Cairo. But I think it's pretty dope. All in a dream, but
you
I just
can
had to
you can
share it.
evolve that story. You could definitely
100%, hundred
create a
percent.
lot of scenarios in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie to myself. I'm not pursuing it, but I just want to put it out there. But that was it. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it,
No problem.
and I
Always
appreciate you moving so
available.
fast. I appreciate that so much. One last thing before we go, the camera is yours. Anything you want to say to people listening or watching?
Um, no, not. I mean, I can't say no. That geez,
I was
that
like that.
sounds
Plug the
so
social or
wrong,
something.
right? Um, I mean, I don't really want to put my. I'm private. I'm kind of a private person, so I don't care
Hmm.
if you follow me. I probably won't really follow back,
Hmm.
but you can follow my business page, which
That's what I was
is
about to say. Okay, go ahead. Plug that.
Silent Vision Entertainment. You
Hmm.
can find that on Instagram. You can find it on Facebook, and also I always like to be positive. So like for people that feel like they can't do it or they're in that moment where they are really down right now, if no one else is rooting for you, I am. So,
Oh, that's awesome. That's so dope. All right. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
all right.